It's a new day in Gotham City as DC Comics publishes a brand new Batman #1 for the 4th time since 1940. While this issue is intended to be the perfect jumping on point for new readers, that doesn't mean that it has disregarded everything that came before. So to kick things off, I want to talk about a few important things that new readers should know about the current Gotham City. So the first thing to mention is that Arkham Asylum is no more, and it actually hasn't been for a while. Instead, the criminally insane of Gotham City are housed in Arkham Tower, a more modern facility that was erected within the city, not on the outskirts, where treatment is prioritized over punishment. The second key thing to be aware of is that Alfred Pennyworth is dead. He had been killed a few years ago by Bane during the City of Bane event. It's also important to note that the immortal Vandal Savage is the police commissioner, and while many of the cops appreciate Batman, officially they are supposed to be hostile towards him. Many of the most loyal Batman supporters within the GCPD, people like Harvey Bullock and Renee Montoya, have been pushed out. What happened to Commissioner Gordon, I hear you ask? Well, he had left the GCPD and worked as a private detective. But policing was in his blood, so he has returned to the force, but as a beat cop, mostly for Savage's amusement. Finally, Vandal Savage is also the owner of Wayne Manor and the Batcave, so Bruce Wayne now lives in Pennyworth Manor, a mansion within the city. He's still very wealthy, it's just that he has fewer resources than you might expect. And that's pretty much all you need to know going into this issue. You don't need to concern yourself with the events of any of the prior crossovers. You don't need to worry about Batman's multiversal dimension-hopping adventures, or who the Batman of Zur-En-Arrh is. This issue opens with Officer Gordon and his partner, Officer Espinosa, getting a coffee during a heatwave, desperate for a storm to break the humidity. And then, as if by magic, the weather breaks, just as Killer Croc dramatically escapes from Arkham Tower. We later learn that Croc had willingly come into Arkham Tower for treatment because he was mutating and couldn't control it. He had done the right thing, seeking help for his unique condition. Dr. Anna Zeller later tells Batman that he was shedding his skin, and he seemed to be regressing both emotionally and mentally. He could have walked out the door at any time he wanted to though, but instead he smashed through the wall, which was built to withstand explosives by the way, indicating that something is very wrong. I really liked the exchange between Batman and Dr. Zeller, where he asks her if she had called the police yet. She responds by saying that she may be new to Gotham, but she's not stupid. She called Batman first. Batman notes that if they want any chance of bringing Croc back alive, she'll need to stall the cops for as long as she can, because as soon as they find him, they'll try to kill him. Batman also notes that he doesn't think people ever change despite the evidence that Dr. Zeller presents him with. His assumption is that Croc has gone berserk and will need to be met with violence in order to bring him in. Dr. Zeller has more faith, however, hence why she called Batman first. And so, the chase is on. We're given a very clear look at this new take on Gotham City. Yes, it still has the old architecture, with Gothic buildings and gargoyles poking out among the massive colourful billboards. We're also given a taste of what Gotham is like with multiple TV screens showing this world. On one, a tactical vest is marketed as a fashionable necessity, like lingerie. During a news report, a worried parent complains of mysterious green gas emanating from the sewers near his child's school. Unregulated ninjas are running amok apparently, according to another screen. Commissioner Savage reports that crime is at an all-time low, despite the fact that his figures don't seem to add up. And Mayor Morgan has a news cameraman arrested for asking unwelcome questions, and nobody bats an eyelid. This section evokes Frank Miller's work in his Dark Knight trilogy, where he immediately told us what the city was like through its TV shows. The same narrative device was used in the first issue of Absolute Batman, and if you couldn't tell, I dig it. One of the most striking things about this story is Alfred's role in it. Now, as I mentioned at the start, he has been dead for a long time. There had been some speculation that the version of Alfred that appears in this comic is AI, but I don't think that's the case. He seems to follow Batman around wherever he goes and isn't confined to the Batmobile or the Batcave. Note that his speech bubble looks pretty normal too. Generally speaking, digital characters have distinctive speech bubbles so you can tell that their voice is digital. Is this an indication that Batman is hallucinating or somehow mentally unwell? I don't think so. I think he's just imagining what his father figure might say to him, which is a pretty common coping mechanism for grief. It's said that people don't truly die so long as they live on in the hearts of the people that knew them, so in that sense I guess Alfred is still around. Of course, all this talk of sentimentality doesn't mean that Batman has gone soft on crime. While looking for Croc, he comes across two women who are being harassed by a gang of punks, dubbed Creepers, who mean them harm. People that go out of their way to actively choose to harm people don't get any mercy from Batman, and he makes very short work of the punks. He notes that the creepers have claimed Robinson Park as their hunting ground, and the police are turning a blind eye to it, saying that it's not worth their time to investigate. While Batman delivers basic first aid, he informs the women that an ambulance is on the way. He still needs to find Croc before the cops get to him, so he instructs the Batmobile to wait with the women and protect them until help arrives. And Batman finds Croc after following a trail of exotic butterflies that did not belong in Robinson Park. They had escaped from the Natural History Museum after Croc broke in looking for something to eat. Sure, he'd smashed up the place to get at the animals, but now that his hunger was satisfied, he was just chilling out looking at a life-size model of a T-Rex. One of the security guards is present along with a woman and her daughter, and he cautiously approaches Croc, armed with a pistol. Batman stops him though, telling him that the gun is frightening the girl and that it would be useless against Croc anyway. Better to just escort the civilians out and leave Croc to him. While Batman initially starts with violent intentions, the scene very quickly changes to something far more touching, and it's one that I think really exemplifies the very best of Batman. He prepares himself for trouble by activating his electroshock gauntlets, but quickly realizes that he doesn't need them. Croc may be more monstrous looking than ever, and he may loudly roar, but all he needed was someone to talk to. We can tell from his speech patterns that his mind is heavily degraded. He speaks in broken English and doesn't really seem to know who he is, or why he's been doing the things he's been doing. While Batman has said that he didn't think people change, Croc literally changes physically, mentally, and even emotionally. He has no interest in fighting Batman. He's not even sure why he broke out of Arkham Tower. Force of habit, maybe? Likewise, the trail of butterflies are the perfect example of creatures that change. Batman begins to realize that he was wrong. While Croc sits and stares at the T-Rex because he saw something of himself in it, Batman also stops because he sees something of himself in Croc, a sad, broken child in a violent world he doesn't understand. Batman approaches him and removes his cowl to emphasize that he is a person, not the scary bat, and he just talks to Croc while he waits for the Arkham doctors to arrive. Croc acknowledges Batman's new head and says that he too has changed, but his change is more negative. He believes that he's a monster, something inherently bad. But Dr. Zeller and Batman tell him that he isn't bad, he just made a bad decision. He can make a good decision now and get help, and he agrees. Before he departs, Croc pointedly asks Batman who is going to help him with his bad head. While Batman states that he doesn't need help, Croc disagrees and offers his toy T-Rex as a replacement for the old T-Rex that is currently in the Batcave. And it becomes the start of Batman's new trophy room. I think that this issue did a number of things very well. Much like Absolute Batman, it encapsulates everything that it means to be Batman. From his unflinching acts of violence to protect the weak, his compassion for his villains, even the nods to the Arkham games with his detective vision and electroshock gauntlets. But where Absolute Batman shows us a Batman learning the ropes, making mistakes and ultimately coming through on the other side as a better person, this Batman is already a polished hero. Yes, he is a little jaded, and who wouldn't be given all that he's lost over the years, but ultimately he is a decent person that does the right thing. The issue ends with Batman getting a call from Tim Drake, who asks if they have any friends left on the police force, as he finds himself under arrest after stopping a criminal. It's a strong cliffhanger that encourages the reader to return for the next issue. But this is also a complete story that can be read in isolation. I was initially a little skeptical about renumbering the series. Seriously, another number one? But the tone is different enough to what has come before that it feels justified, much in the same way that the New 52 and Rebirth eras were pretty distinct. This new era of Batman is off to an absolutely great start, and you can bet your bottom dollar I will be reading the next issue. Batman number 1 is available now from all good comic shops. If you are based in the UK and don't have a comic shop near you, then you might want to use my affiliate link with the UK's biggest comic book retailer, Forbidden Planet. I have included a link in the pinned comment on this video. Alternatively, if the idea of hoarding a collection of comic books fills you with dread, I have 3 Batman number 1 blind bag variants coming in the mail. What is wrong with me? You may want to try getting a digital copy of the issue from Amazon. I also have an affiliate link with them, which you could use to help my channel out. This is also included in the pinned comment. To those that have read this issue, what did you think? I found the new look costume, cave and Batmobile pretty striking. Shifting Batman to the old blue and grey colour scheme is a clear indication of this book's intent. A brighter Batman, not childish or comedic, but something more hopeful than what we've seen in recent years. And I think that the contrast between Gotham's neon-soaked bleakness and this bolder Batman makes the point all the more obvious. Isn't it topical how Vandal Savage has introduced a new unit of masked law enforcement who don't have to follow all the usual rules? The Tactical Urban Combat Officers, or TUCO for short. That's a pretty funny name because it's Spanish slang for ugly rodents, or terrorists. Again, very topical. And finally, wasn't it touching how Batman had restarted his trophy room collection with Croc's toy T-Rex? Yes, it's not as impressive as his old one, but probably much more sentimental. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Next time. I'll be back on Saturday to talk about Absolute Batman number 12, which continues the horrific Abomination storyline. Wayland and Batman are on the run from Bane, but Bane has his hands on their friends Harvey Dent, Oswald Cobblepot and Edward Nygma. What awful things are going to happen? We'll have to find out together. And then next week I'll be back to talk about Absolute Flash number 7, where a hungry Wally West lands himself in hot water as the rogues close in. And given that the cover features several tornadoes, is it time to meet the Absolute Weather Wizard? Maybe. Hope to see you then.